What is the longest you have ever slept? 10 hours? 15? How would you feel if you slept for 300 years? Yes, some people slept for 300 years. In this video, we will discuss some young men who believed in Allah in the same era but at different places, unaware of one another. That is, we will talk about Ashab Al-Kahf. Almost everyone has heard of the story of Ashab Al-Kahf from their elders or from some other people. But most of us remember Ashab Al-Kahf as only 7 people who slept for hundreds of years. In fact, we do not know their exact number. What we need to learn from this incident is not their exact number, it is something different. Who were those young people? Why did they escape from their society? Why were they put to sleep for 300 years? And what did they experience that is important enough to be included in the Quran? In the light of Islamic and some other sources, let's listen to the story of Ashab Al-Kahf together. It was a time when Muhammad, peace be upon him, had not yet come. Christianity had not been completely corrupted yet. Among them were Unitarian Christians who believed in the oneness of God. The Roman Empire of that time believed in paganism. They did not only believe, they also forced believers who had believed in one God and had become Christians by rejecting idols to return to their old religion. They made a great effort to ensure this. They even punished the Christians who did not return to their old religion with the most painful forms of death. For example, they crucified and killed them by burning a great fire. The majority of the believers were weak and poor. There were also people with good spirits whose nature was intact despite being wealthy and in high positions. Some of these were Ashab Al-Kahf, also known as the 7 Sleepers. This group of young people held important positions in the Roman Empire. They believed, but kept their belief a secret. As they saw the persecution of believers, they felt persecuted more. Every whip struck at the believers inflicted a great wound on them. They wanted to do something, but what could they do? Those young men believed in the same era, but without knowing one another. Whenever possible, during the Roman ceremony of animal sacrifice to idols, unaware of one another, they would walk away unnoticed by those around them and refused to attend those ceremonies. One day, the people were in a great rush and flurry. The reason for this rush was that the Roman emperor was coming to visit the city. Therefore, the Roman governor wanted to convert more Christians. He began to oppress them more and more. His aim was that there should be no one left among the people who rejected the idols when the Roman emperor came. But there were some people that they didn't take into account, some people among them. Allah did not let the Roman governor understand the belief of those young people until the appointed time, just like the Prophet, peace be upon him. When Meccans came to kill him, they couldn't see him in the cave, thanks to Allah's help. Now, it was time for the big day. The notables of the city took turns kneeling before the Roman emperor and declaring their loyalty. It was the turn of a young man from Ashab Al-Kahf, whom they had not noticed until then. This young believer thought now was the right time to declare his belief in God. Allah made his heart firm, and with great courage, he cried out these words before the emperor: "Our Lord is the Lord of the heavens and the earth. We shall never invoke any God other than Him. Otherwise, we would be saying something far from the truth." The chapter of Al-Kahf, verse 14. These brave words of that young man uttered with great courage encouraged other young people, and all of them appeared and declared their hidden belief. They cried out before all the notables of Rome. The emperor, in the face of this group of young people, was humiliated by a few words of truth coming out of their mouths. Those around the emperor wanted them to be killed, But the emperor knew very well that if these young people were killed, this news would spread to the whole Roman Empire, and these young people would become heroes. That was the last thing the emperor wanted. Therefore, he gave these young people 3 days to return to their old faith. Torture, torment, nothing could stop this group of young people from what they believed in. These young people found a way to escape from the city and went on a quest. At the end of this quest, with a dog named Qitmir following them, putting their trust in their Lord, they took refuge in a cave they found, which is thought to be on Mount Angelus. When those who wanted to catch them entered the cave, they ran out in great fear. How were they inside this cave for about 300 years? We can understand it from verses in the chapter of Al-Kahf. And you would think they were awake while they were asleep. We turned them on their sides, right and left. And their dog had its forelegs stretched out to the doorstep. If you had a look at them, you would have fled away from them and would have been filled with awe of them. Al-Kahf, verse 18. And finally, Ashab Al-Kahf were awakened after so many years. They felt that there was something strange. They wondered how long they had slept. One of them said it might be a day or a little more. However, they were unaware that centuries had passed. Ashab al-Kahf, who were very hungry after this long sleep, sent one of them to the city on the condition that he would act carefully and secretly. On his way to the city, he encountered something strange. Thinking that only a few days had passed, the city had changed completely. He saw that churches had replaced the temples. He couldn't see the idols around him like he used to. People's conversations were all about a single creator. Their cry of one God before the emperor had led to today's believers. People no longer believed in idols made of wood and stones. In the past, belief in a single creator was concealed, but now it had become difficult to worship idols and to reveal them. Looking around in amazement and wanting to satisfy his hunger, this young man saw a shop selling bread. He bought bread for himself and his friends. He held out a silver coin to pay for it. The owner of the bakery thought this young man had found a treasure because the money belonged to an era centuries ago. The baker immediately informed the Roman authorities about this issue. Then the young man who was taken to the palace realized the truth. In fact, they had been in a state of sleep for centuries, not a day or two. For some other wisdom, God Almighty had kept them asleep for so many years. People at that time when they were awakened had doubts about the hereafter and were discussing how resurrection could be possible. With this awakening incident, which occurred after centuries, everyone understood and noticed something. Life is in Allah's hands. He can make any servant live however He wishes. He can make them sleep for hundreds of years and wake them up again like these young men. Therefore, people who sleep as dead in the grave can be resurrected from that state if Allah wills. And it is not difficult for His power, because Allah, who awakened them, has the power to resurrect us all after death. After this awakening, thousands of people flocked to the cave to see Ashab al-Kahf and saw the young people who had been there for centuries. Thus, the people's belief in the hereafter, in other words, their belief that Allah will resurrect dead bodies, became firm. These young men entered the cave again after people saw them. They all fell down in prostration, supplicating and praying to their Lord who had awakened them, and they fell into the sleep of death until the day of judgment. After this incident, the Roman rulers had a temple built on the place where they had slept. Thus, after fulfilling their duty as proof of the hereafter, the story of Ashab al-Kahf ended. They were a group of young men who believed in their Lord. They didn't have any worries, such as, how long will this pagan life continue? When will the truth become dominant? They believed in the following statement attributed to Isa, Jesus, peace be upon him. What you have said in the dark will be heard in the daylight, and what you have whispered in the ear in the inner rooms will be proclaimed from the roofs. Their only concern was, will we ever be able to see those days? Allah showed them those days. The same thing was repeated in the conquest of Mecca. On that day, idols were destroyed, and truth was proclaimed from the streets of Mecca and the roof of the Kaaba. The Prophet, peace be upon him, who is a mercy for all the worlds, recited the following verse and say, truth has come and falsehood has vanished. Falsehood is surely bound to vanish. Al-Isra, verse 81. Today, when some of us look at today's world and people, we become worried and ask, how long will humanity keep deteriorating? When will the truth prevail again? We may even fall into despair. But Ashab Al-Kahf is the most excellent example that we shouldn't be hopeless. The conquest of Mecca is the most apparent form of it. How has the cause of Prophet Muhammad Mustafa, peace be upon him, who is mercy for all the worlds, reached billions of people today? Because he did not rely on anyone other than the Lord who created him. Because he knew that the owner of this religion would indeed make it prevail. That's why, when the notables of Mecca came to him with the greatest offers, he said to them, if you put the moon in one of my hands and the sun in the other, I would not give up this cause. Either Allah will make this religion prevail, or I will die for this cause. Thus, he refused them, because his cause was a cause in which spirituality, not matter, and truth, not falsehood, prevail. It was a blessing for him to die for this cause. He had only one life, and it belonged to Allah anyway. Allah will complete His light, no matter who says what or does what. Either with us or without us. He doesn't need us to complete His light, but we need to be a part of it, as this light is completed for our salvation.
Hello brothers and sisters, and thank you for watching the video. If you want to take a look at more of our videos like this, you can check the playlists we created specifically for you on the right, or you can check out our latest videos on the left. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so that we can reach and benefit more people. See you.